Hey, it's Deer from X-Ray. And for this video about Void War, the game, I'm going to be reviewing the ships and commanders that I'm going to select from in order to attempt to beat the game on Torments 11 and 12. What you're seeing here is the ship and commander combination I used to beat the game on Torment 10 just a few weeks back. And since then, I was going through in preparation to attack 11 and 12, I wanted to have the best ships possible, and I already pretty much had the best commanders available from. So I was going through to unlock ships that I had not yet played with or completed on, I guess, in the A list, the whole A list, and then the B list, and then the C list. And you see I have two ships here I still yet to unlock, but I will be unlocking these probably during this video. I decided to save on scrap to just play through these ships on Torment level 6, which was not as easy as I thought. It did take me a few attempts with some of these ships and commanders, but managed to beat it. Unlocked all the ships, and now I'm able to unlock these ships by paying for them. For this ship, the Light Destroyer C, you're not able to unlock it by being the game with Ancient Sea, because it requires you to use this ship. This ship is not released yet. And then the Imperial Cruiser C, you have to unlock with Resonance. For whatever reason, they don't have it tied back to any of the other ships on the A list or B list. And so I'm going to be reviewing the ships and commanders I intend to select from. And now the ships I will not be using, I'm not going to talk about those or the reasons why. And part of that's because I'm going to be referring to a guide. And while we're at it, before we get started, I want to talk about another commander that was added since I made this video. I put together this video a few weeks ago, but haven't published it at the time. And in that time period, the developers did another few updates and released a new commander called the Heiress. This Heiress is a blood cult themed psyker type commander, and throughout this video I won't be talking about her because at the time I think the only commander that was released during the video was the Capitalist. That was the latest commander, and then I just hadn't had time to publish this video. So I don't talk about for the Heiress during most of this video, but I will touch base on her at the end. So if you want to get more information about the Heiress, please just jump to the end of the video and I'll talk about that and possibilities this new commander offers. And I was influenced by a guide that I got from an author named Ciggy Snake. And Ciggy Snake is a moderator on the Void War Discord. And a few weeks back, he produced a very detailed The Void War Ship Guide, which has a ranking for all the ships in the game and also talks about which commanders are appropriate to use for those ships. And it's geared more toward the Torment 12 players, but it works pretty much or it's applicable to almost any Torment level you would play the game at. Now, for this video, I was just influenced by Ciggy's guide. I'm not going to be going into detail about the guide itself. But I do recommend you read the guide. If you want to get the guide, a copy of it yourself, and go through it, I would head over to the Void War Discord, and you can ask for it in the main discussion channel, or even search the Discord for the link to the guide, which I believe Ciggy had on Google Docs. And the Void War Discord is an excellent resource. From there, I believe the developers are engaged with the Discord fairly frequently, and they also have, you can also participate in beta releases on the Discord and also submit bug reports. In fact, I submitted a bug report for two of the ships a few weeks back, and the developers did respond to that bug report and get the bug fixed, which was good because it's one of the ships I'd like to play for Torment 11 and 12. And so it's a big resource. There's also discussions about modding. You have mod makers on there, and discussions about lore. So it is a great resource. You can get the link to the Discord in the description for this video. And also, I wanted to mention that Ciggy Snake here, who's a moderator on the Discord, he also has a YouTube channel that he mentions in his guide. And here's a screenshot of his channel on YouTube, Ciggy Snake, at Ciggy Snake. And he has a number of videos here. Looks like a variety of gaming topics. Now, I don't think he has any videos about Void War itself. I'm not sure if he's going to make any, but regardless, here's his guide. If you want to see him, if you like his guide, you can check out his YouTube channel and check out more of his videos, which all look pretty interesting to me. Now, one thing I also want to talk about my Torment 11 and 12 playthrough in the ships is that on my attempts, I'm not going to be fighting the Ariokane Starflayer, one of the 3 bosses in the game. And part of that reason is because, not that I'm afraid to fight it, but because for me it's just not difficult enough of a challenge. If you saw my other videos on Torment 9 and Torment 10, I happened to face the Starflayer in both attempts and managed to beat it. And in fact, in my game on Torment 10, my ship was not in a position I thought to even beat the Starflayer, but managed to pull through and clinch it. So one thing about the Starflayer, I was reading up on it when you get to Torments 11 and 12, and that the only thing that's really different from the lower Torments is that when you get to the various phases of the battle, like phase 3, there's like a 3 in 10 chance, 30% chance that every 60 seconds that each one of your crew members will be taken over by the mind control. And I don't find that much of a, I don't know, I don't like that. I don't like that type of challenge that comes up where you just randomly lose control of your crew members. I just don't find it that interesting. And I mean, and from what I understand from the players better than me, you can really, it's really not difficult to deal with. You just have to wait about 10 seconds, then the crew is back to normal. See, then you can get back to doing whatever you're doing. You can still use your weapons while that's happening. And I don't find that interesting. I fought the Starflayer a lot. I think in most of my videos I fought him. I'm just done fighting the Starflayer. I think I've beaten him down enough. And what I tend to do is if I do manage to find out in the 6th sector that the boss ship is the Starflayer, I'm just going to end the game. I'm basically just going to airlock my commander and collect the resonance and then restart the game. I will chalk that up as an attempt, but that's what I'm going to do. I'd rather fight something more challenging. I'd rather fight the Doom Engine or the Necropolis Barge. In fact, I intend to fight one of each. So that's going to make my playthrough even more challenging because there's 1 in 3 chance that I won't get the first time I get to Torment-11, I'll have a two-thirds chance of getting the boss I want to fight. But then the Torment-12, I don't know how long it's going to take to finally get the boss I want to fight. Hopefully it won't take that long, but that's what I intend to do. And also I want to talk about the commanders that I'm going to be using and not using on these attempts. 2 commanders I will not be using are the Cyberfused and the Roughneck. You see right here, I've got screenshots of the attributes from the game. Now, Cyberfused is one of the more powerful commanders in the game, and not only because he has high hit points and a DPS of 4, this is pretty good for boarding. He has all these resistances, but he also has a translocator. He's one of the few commanders in the game, I guess maybe 3 out of, how many is it now? 3 out of 15? I may have the number wrong. He's one of 3 commanders in the game that can translocate onto an enemy ship, which is extremely powerful because you need to be able to get on the enemy ship not just for maybe taking down their throne room, but also for collecting chests that you can find on the ship to get additional scrap, which is very important at the harder torments. But the thing about the Cyberfused I don't like is the fact this translocator has, since he can't move on his own, he has no legs to ambulate with or other ways to get around, you're basically stuck wherever he is for about 20 seconds. And that's going to be kind of a hassle in between combat. Like if I get him back, and I don't know, when he comes back to the ship, you don't really know where he's going to end up. I mean, I guess it's close to the command throne, but then I may want to move him into into the auto surgeon to get him repaired, or I may want him to, when he's on boarding an enemy ship, and when enemies fight and they lose health, they'll run out of the room, so I have to deal with that problem. I just don't want to deal with that. He's a powerful commander, and players better than me do well with him, but it's just going to be a hassle to play with him. So I'm just not going to mess with that for my playthrough. I just don't want to have to deal with these periods in the video where people are waiting 20 seconds for deciding where I want to move this guy. So the other commander I'm not going to use is the Roughneck, and he is arguably the weakest commander, one of the weakest commanders in the game at this time. And he does have a powerful ability. He's immune to suffocation, so that's great for possessed ships. He also can break doors, which is awesome because he can just bust down doors a little bit quicker than usual. I don't know how that handles with door 3, but he can break down doors. And he also has the ability to create hull breaches, which is great. But the thing is, on most ships, most of your crew need oxygen. So if I need a boarding crew to go to attend with the Roughneck onto a ship for boarding, they're going to have a problem if he starts creating hull breaches, right? Especially if they're stuck in one room, he's got a hull breach, then that's going to be a problem if they don't have suffocation and immunity. So I'm not really, I've played these commanders you can see here, and I'm just not interested in dealing with that aspect of him too with the hull breaches. It's a penalty I don't have to deal with, and I don't see that as a benefit for the way I like to play for my playstyle. Now, 3 commanders I will be using, which are fairly new to the game, these came out after release, would be the Doomweaver. And you've seen me, I guess you've seen me, this is the commander that I beat Torment-10 on, and she's pretty powerful. She has a ability called Threads of Ruin that lets her translocate one time during an encounter. If she's off the throne or if she's on the command throne, it will kill the highest hit point hostile crew. So there is multiple utility here. There's a lot of versatility in that feature. The only thing is she can only use it one time in an encounter. That, to me, that's a little bit weaker than Cyberfused or the Exile because I like mobility with commanders. So the fact you can only do that one time is not that great, but she is very powerful, and because of the cycle slot, she'll get you more powerful as you develop her throughout the game. And then the other commander I'm going to use will be Barbarian. I had played him on Torment 6, and Was a little bit challenging. The suffocation weakness is an issue. I finally had him boarding a possessed ship. He didn't last very long. There wasn't, maybe it seemed like a few seconds real time before he was down to half his health. And so that weakness is a real one you have to deal with. You could try to avoid exclusion zones, but you're not guaranteed to avoid demonic ships all the time. You do need to get an oxygen tank to get around that weakness, but the issue with that is you don't always find an oxygen tank. In fact, in the 3 playthroughs I tried with him already, I didn't get an oxygen tank. So you're not guaranteed to find that. And you do have to work around that. You will have to get other crew members, perhaps boarders just as strong as him or better, to get around that limitation when you can't. It might be too risky to put him on in a condition where there's no oxygen. But he was pretty solid, steadfast. When I had all 3 weapon slots filled up, he was pretty powerful. Also had an assault shield, and for a while I did give him a chaos engine so he could translocate onto the enemy ship. So he could carry a heavy translocator as well. Just you're not going to want to send him on. You're not going to have him carry that onto the enemy ship. So he's still solid. I'll probably use him on ships where it's recommended to use the cannibal or the mutant. It seems to make sense. He's kind of a fit for that. And then the last new commander I'm going to use will be the Capitalist. Capitalist is fairly new to the game. I haven't played him yet. He just came out today, the day I'm making this video. And he is I guess a variation of the Cyberfused commander, because he's got 2 of the tool slots. And tool slots, these are pretty valuable in the game, because you can carry, for example, he can carry a heavy translocator and a fusion charge. He could carry an assault shield, heavy translocator, or even 2 assault shields if you want, which makes him pretty strong, even for boarding. And plus he has the reduced merchant prices. This will come in handy on Torment-11s and 12s. I have, again, went through Torment-10, and yeah, having the lack of scrap was a problem. I was not able to get everything I wanted, and that is a problem throughout the Torment 10 plus and above difficulty games. So the fact he'll be able to reduce that by 10% means you've got extra scrap for like an extra crew member, maybe some extra equipment you wouldn't be able to afford previously. So this is a pretty powerful thing for the hard torments. And he also comes with additional equipment. He comes with 2 fleshy reagents, 2 dark matter prisms, and 2 repair drones. So it's nice to have this equipment at the start. That gives you a better chance of maybe getting through not so much Sector 2, maybe Sector 3. Sector 3 is where I tend to get killed at times if my ship is not fully ready. So having this extra equipment is something that helps ensure your survival. So I will be using these commanders in the gameplay, and some of that is going to be, I guess, random selection. So anyway, let me go back to the Void War game. We'll go through the ship list and start talking about what ships I'm going to be using. Okay, we're back in game, and I'm just going to go through the ship list here in the game. I think it's the simplest way to go around and also look at the different ship attributes. And these are going to be the ships that should give us the best odds to survive through at least the first 2 sectors of the game until we can solve the problem of how to have better boarding or ship systems or shields or whatnot. So the first ship we'll talk about will be the Relic A. And this is I guess a death cult poison theme type of ship. You see it starts off, you've got a Deathbringer here, and what's great about the ship is that he's got a Chaos Rift. The Chaos Rift is a spell that lets you, it's a projectile spell, lets you teleport whoever's in the room to random rooms on the enemy ship. Now that's not as good as having like a heavy translocator, but it's good enough to get your heavy boarders on board. And you see you start with the Death Knight, an extremely powerful crew member who has, I think he also has a tool slot, and he also has a spell ability. Now currently he starts with Smother, which is not a great spell if you don't care about the poison. But to work with this ship, if you do have units that are good with poison or like poison, like the White or the Assassin, that's a pretty good thing to have. There's one thing about the poison: if he boards an enemy ship and then casts poison, the ship has a corpse effigy module, and so this will half the repair speed of poisoned enemies. So that means if you damage an enemy ship, they're going to take a lot longer to repair, which is a good thing. The ship has 3 of these Putrefactor 1s. That's 3 shots on enemy shields. So usually in the first 2 sectors you come across enemies with shield 1 and 2, and so this will get you through the first 2 sectors because you can get damage done to the shields. So this is a decent ship, and the commanders you can take on the ship are pretty much almost. Let me see here. Sorry, I'm looking at I have a list off screen of the of the commanders and the ships, and let's see. I'm trying to find here. For this ship, you can take quite a few. I mean, the White is obviously good for this ship. You can take the Exile if you want an extra person aboard. You can take Exile. I mean, Exile works on any ship pretty much, right? And the mutant would be good. The white, the paladin's a good one because he's got that. It's not a purify spell, but he has the ability to make the crew resistant to poison. Right, so that he could survive on this. The priestess and the assassin, and then the cannibal. And I guess the barbarian would be okay with this ship too. But keep in mind, you may need some way. You gotta deal with the poison, right? And poison's a lot tougher now. They did make poison more, I think, stackable in one of the recent patches. So you may want to consider a commander that is not going to be affected much by the poison, like the white or the the assassin. Maybe the I don't know if the Cyberfused would be a good fit for this ship, because they do have. I think he has poison resistance somewhat, but anyway, you can pretty much pick any commander you like for this ship, just because you have a way to board it with the Deathbringer. Just be mindful of the poison. I might be trying this with a random commander. We'll see how it goes. When I played, I think I played on a Torment-6 game, and I think I had the I can't remember which commander it was. It may have been the mutant. I think it's the mutant I had with this ship, and he managed to survive okay. But that was before the patch where they buffed the poison a little bit. So Andos may be more important on the ship, or even having one of those Imperial Scribe who can cast Purify might be important as well. So, yeah, it looks like it was the mutant. I did play the white on here too. Okay, I guess I did Torment-3 for the white. Anyway, this ship is in strong consideration for use on Torment-11 and 12. So, the next ship we'll look at will be the Assault Cruiser A. And this is one of my favorite ships. I did beat Torment-8 with it, had played it a number of times already. And what I like about the ship, it has an assault sled. And so that means you can use quite a few different commanders on it who don't have the ability to board themselves. It also comes with a missile launcher, and it has Storm Cannon 1, which is 2 shots, and it also comes with a Claymore missile. Now, Claymore missile uses 2 munitions, but it does 3 hull damage. So this is a powerful missile you can use if the enemy's evasion is down. You can use this to pretty much take out probably a full system with it. And you can also switch to a Gladius missile if you're trying to save munitions. Now, your crew is a little bit weak. They're not exactly the strongest boarders, so when you start off on this ship, you can't take the crew with you on the ship to board. You'll just have to rotate them out. I remember when I was playing, I'd rotate out. I'd just bring one Berserker to my commander, and when he got too injured, I would just rotate with the other Berserker and take him on the next mission. And then the Scavenger here, he has a door break speed of 1,000, so that's also helpful to take along. And this also works if you have a commander which can translocate, because you could have, for example, the Scavenger and the Berserker board, and he's got the door breaking ability, and then your commander here, if he has Translocator in this Doomweaver, can teleport in to help him out. So that also makes it's pretty effective for if you like doing boarding action on enemy ships. And it's a fairly big ship. I like the size of it as well. A lot of spaces to put equipment and have your crew run around, like to dodge trees and whisper spells. So venting on the ship is, I guess, okay for fires. This room here, these middle rooms are a little bit tricky to vent, I guess, because you see there's vents over here, so you gotta open up a couple rooms near the I guess near the throne and this center to get it out, or to let the fire out. But overall, it's a decent ship, and I'll be using this one for sure. And the next A-class ship on the list is going to be, looks like it's going to be the Overseer A. So let's go back to the list here. Here's Overseer A. This is a Blood Cult theme ship. Now, this ship does not have any boarding on it, as you can see, but what it does have to make up for that is a Blood Witch here, who's right here in the sensor room, and the Blood Witch can summon a Thrall, and this Thrall is how you could get to enemy chest, or get onto the enemy ship to grab chest. And then the other blood cultist here casts Coagulate, which allows you, it's basically like a repair tool. And it can also use a Thrall to heal 2 units of damage instead of 1. And for weapons, it comes with the Thunder Cannon, which gives you, it's only 1 shot, and then you have a Twin Disruptor. So I guess the Twin Disruptor take down shields, and the Thunder Cannon does 2 hull damage. It also has a chance of fire, hull breach, and crew damage. So pretty powerful little weapons you got here. And it also has, a very, probably one of the best systems in the game. It has a Hull Reaper. Forgot about that. So if you get shields down with the Ion in your Thunder Cannon, you can start using Hull Reaper, which can also get you hull back on your ship for the cost of munitions. So those are pretty powerful weapons to start out with, because sometimes it's hard to find a Hull Reaper. And if you get a Hull Reaper, there's also a what's called a gold text event you can run into. So it's good to have this at the very start of the game. And commanders you can use with Overseer are pretty much everybody that you like. The only thing is, if you're using commanders without translocate and you want them to board, you will have to look into either getting a heavy translocator or Chaos Engine or Chaos Rift, or just buying an assault sled. So anyway, this ship I'll definitely be playing. It does come with a module called Pain Engine, so it does favor blood cultist units, and it might make sense to, if your game allows it, to stop off through a blood cult sector and see if you can recruit some blood cultists on your ship, like the Blood Knights, or even an Elder Blood Mage. If you do that, you may want to consider getting a Thrall Pit, because with that Thrall Pit, the Blood Mage would be able to just crank out blood spears to damage enemy ships. So anyway, good ship. Definitely look forward to using this, and I'd only play this on Torment-1, it looks like, but I do plan to be playing it on 11 and 12. And the next A-class ship will be the Ancient A. Now, I haven't had a lot of experience playing this ship. You see, it's just Torment-1, but I've read that it's supposed to be really good. Now, what makes this ship also good for most commander picks is that it has a translocator. So if you have a commander with a tool slot, you could select the ship, and now he has a way to board the ship. See? And I don't know if these guys have tool slots. Let me see. I'm not sure. I think he has a tool slot, so you could give it to him if you want, but ideally you want to give this to one of your commanders. And now she doesn't have a tool slot, no, my Doomweaver does, but you could give this to like the Cyberfused, the new Capitalist commander would have it. Even the Barbarian. Barbarian has a tool slot, so you can give the translocator to him. So you have a way to board the enemy ship. Now what's unusual about the ship, it has 2 missile systems. And the missiles you're given are a Saber missile, which is pretty good, does 2 hull damage per shot, and you have a displacement bomb. Now the displacement bomb is also a way you can get to the chest on enemy ships. So if you manage to land the missile in that room, you'll be able to pull the chest back. And it can also pull back crew if you care to attack the crew on your ship. I think it brings them back into, well, you don't have a weapon room. I'm not sure where it brings the displaced crew members back to, but it's something to consider. So this would be a good ship, and the crew members you could use for this would be like the Exile. I heard the Paladin's supposed to be good for the ship. I've never played Paladin with it. We'll have to see. Priestess, and then the Cybernetic and the Capitalist are also probably good for this ship. Now, one thing that you have to think about is there's no weapon system. If you do, I think I did buy a weapons bay for this ship and found it only had only able to mount 3 weapons. So if you prefer like mounting 4 weapons at a time, you're not going to be able to do that if you want a weapons bay. And if I understand from the better players, you don't really want to get a weapons bay for the ship anyway. You want to rely on missiles and maybe your boarding, get a boarding crew set up, and perhaps, I guess, maybe get a Hull Reaper and other systems to make your attack go well. I think there might be some modules you could find later. Oh, it has a, oh, here we go, it has, I was talking about. The ship also comes with an Eternal Probe. It says enemy ships lose 10 evasion when your sensor status is active. And it only starts with Sensor 1, so if you get Sensor 2 going, then you're pretty much guaranteed to help. This will help your missiles hit. See, so that's kind of the gimmick of this ship, is to make sure you're a missile boat and make sure you can lock the ship down with their evasion and get your missiles to hit often. So it might be worthwhile to upgrade your missile bay. I'm not really sure what the expense is for that, but if you upgrade the missiles, they'll fire faster. So I don't have a lot of experience with this ship, but I'm willing to try it out. I'm glad it's got a translocator. So let's move on to the next ship. And the next, I guess there's 2 more ships on the A-class list here. One is going to be the Oblivion Cruiser A. And I just recently completed a game on Torment-6 with this. Also, apparently I played the Archmage in this ship. I didn't realize that. I don't remember when I did that. But this ship is an interesting one because you see it doesn't have any type of boarding craft here, but it does have a cool Magus who has a Etheric Gate. An Etheric Gate is like a heavy translocator, but it's on this Gold Magus, who normally is kind of a squishy unit, but thanks to the Obscene Organ module, he's got double the hit points. Now, if they get 20 hit points, that's not much, but he has another Magus here who can cast poison. And if you cast poison to the enemy ship's room, and he translocates into it, then he'll be healing up the whole time as long as that poison exists. And it does pretty well. I did manage to beat Torment-6, and we did board with this Gold Magus most of the time. It wasn't until like later in the game, maybe Sector 5, that I finally got a heavy translocator and no longer had to rely on him. But we did get through the 4 sectors. I think it took me a few attempts. It might take me 4 attempts to get through with this setup, and I can't remember which commander I had, if it was Exile or maybe it'll tell me here. Well, I had the Assassin. I used the Assassin on the ship. Now, these are not the best commanders to use. The best commander to use on the ship, from what I understand, is the White. So when I do play the ship, Torment-11, Torment-12, I will be using the White commander. You also have these atrophy, which if you get them and these atrophy, they don't seem like much, but if you put armor and shields on them, they have a tool slot. They get pretty powerful. I had I had one of these. I think their hit points were up to like 70 hit points at one point. Maybe it was around, okay, maybe 60. But they also had the assault shields, and they were pretty powerful boarders. And if they get affected with poison, it also doubles their speed, or it makes their speed a lot faster on the exact increase. But they're a pretty powerful combination. What I'd typically do is I would gather them in this room here, and put my commander here, and we would board with the translocator in the enemy ship. And it worked out pretty well. Weapons, you do have a missile system, and it comes with the Blight Bomb, which sends a lot of poison on the ship, and that will also help your demons here, who are immune to poison and benefit and heal from poison. And it also comes with a Hull Ripper, which is an excellent gun. It fires 2 shots and does 2 times damage to systemless rooms. So something to think about. It's kind of like one of those siege weapons. Then you have a bolt cannon. So you can take down shield 2 with this and start doing damage to the enemy ship. And this also does hull damage. So this is if used properly, this ship can get you through the first 2 sectors on the hardest torments. And it also comes with antidotes, which, since they've buffed the poison, this is more important if you have crew members who may not be immune to poison. You can equip this, at least perhaps get them healed until you can, or make them immune to poison until you can get a purify or some other kind of spell going like that. So and commanders for this ship would, well, it's basically the white. That's all I've read about. The recommended commander is the white. Now, I did play with the assassin, and you can beat the game with the assassin, but it was a little tough. Took me 4 attempts. But so the last ship of the A class is going to be the light destroyer, called the Ultima ratio. And I hadn't played the ship. I just unlocked it recently, and this ship has no boarding, from what I understand. So this is a ship you'd want to play with. But it does have a displacement bomb. Now, from what I've read, the way some players better than me aboard the ship is a displacement bomb you can use to target your own ship. And you have your missile bay here. So I guess you would gather your crew into one of these rooms here and fire a displacement bomb right at that room. Now, if you do that, you will board the enemy ship, but you also do hull damage to your ship, and you also use munitions. So, me personally, I'm not crazy about using the displacement bomb for that fashion. I mean, maybe the players better than me do that to great effect, but I'm just not crazy about playing the game like that. So if I do use this ship, I'll probably be using a commander that has some type of ability to translocate. I'll just start with that, and if it looks like I'm desperate and I gotta use the displacement bomb to teleport over, then I can do that. Now, you can use this to get chest as well, right? So something to consider. At least it has this. It also comes with the siege missile, which is also an excellent missile, like Claymore. Does a lot of damage, 2 times damage to system rooms. This is an excellent missile to have. It also starts with an energy lance, and you have a module, Wrath of Angels. So this lance will always hit. And let's see, this lance, yeah, it's fairly routine, fairly powerful lance. 12 charge time. It also comes with the graviton cannon, which can slow the crew. So I guess that's kind of helpful in a way, but I guess you slow them down and use missiles to pin them down. This Wrath of Angels is really nice. That means you don't have to board the ship to take down the throne before you fire your missile at it. So I can understand how this being a powerful ship, and again, I have no experience with it, haven't played it, so looking forward to using this one. The only thing I don't like, I don't like the shields being way back here and kind of isolated, so you may want to have another crew member here to help protect whoever's in the shield room. Other than that, it looks like a pretty solid ship. So that's done. We're done with the ships in the A section. So now we're going to move to the B section of ships. And the first ship we'll talk about here, just got to navigate my list. I'm looking at a list on my phone here, is the Imperial Cruiser B. And this is a ship I will be using for 11 or 12 playthroughs. I did beat the game on Torment-10, and I used the Doomweaver commander right here. And I don't remember how many attempts. I think it took me 3 attempts. I don't know if it wasn't with this ship. I think I beat. It may have been my first attempt with this ship and commander combination. And what's great about the ship, it has an energy lance, and this ship has 4 charge. I mean, this weapon has 4 charges. This is probably my favorite lance in the game because it fires so much. And it also has a Retributor 3, which is also powerful. So while this gun is you're shooting, you got a lance shot off, then you got this gun to follow up to take down up to shield 3. So that's pretty powerful, and it's a good setup for getting more weapons. You always start off with weapon bay 3, but still it's pretty good. And then you have 2 crew members. You have an Imperial Alkali who has a force shield, and that's pretty good to protect your shields and weapons. When I played the game before, I take this Alkalite and put him right here in this square, and then we turn on his Force Shield to protect shields and weapons from any attacks. Like an additional shield, it'll absorb 2 blows. It also protects against the Psyker spells. So if you have an Imperial Psyker saying a Fireball, they'll also absorb and prevent the Fireball from going off. And then we have Imperial Magister, who has Rejuvenate, and this is great for boarding because I think I gotten a I can't remember if I got an Assault Sled on this ship. I don't remember, for not necessarily for Torment 10, maybe it's for another level, maybe Torment 5. I don't remember what I play it on, but I think I'd use this crew member to heal my crew remotely. That was very powerful. You've probably seen me doing that in some other playthrough videos. And so commanders for this ship, since there's no direct boarding, you obviously want to use the Exile, Cyberfused, or Doomweaver, and I'll probably be using Exile or Doomweaver, just like I use Doomweaver for my Torment 10 victories. So solid ship, I'll definitely be using this. Now the next B ship is called Interdictor B. I've heard this is recommended, and I'm not sure if I'm going to use this ship. It's a good ship, but I just don't know, because you see I've only beaten Torment 2 with it, and I did use the Roughneck to try and pair with the Commandos. The Roughneck is the commander that has the immunity to suffocation and creates hull breaches. And so I was trying to do the hull breach. The ship has a flare cannon, so it takes 2 shots. He'll do hull breaches, and then you have a storm cannon to follow up. So that's 4 shots. That's pretty powerful weaponry. That means you can get shield 3 down and start doing damage, right? One thing I don't like about the ship is there's no 4-tile room to put auto surgeon in. I mean, that's not a requirement for. That's not why I'm rejecting the ship, but I just don't need to deal with the hull breach business. I prefer to have ships that can handle the demonic ships, right, or where my boarders can. And these guys can do that. I mean, they're immune to suffocation, but they're just not really the strongest crew members, right? I mean, they're immune to suffocation. That'd be great if we're dealing with the exclusion zones, of course, but I don't know. We'll have to see. I may try it out. I mean, it is nice. It has a big has an assault sled already here, and I did win before, so it won't be my first pick, but since it's a recommended ship, I'll definitely be trying out. And commander, you can use a number of commanders with this, like the combat commanders, the mutant, the I don't know if the Campbell. I guess you could use the Campbell with it. I guess the Barbarian would be fine with this. Of course, it doesn't. The problem is, if this flare cannon's doing hull breaches, the Barbarian's not going to do well on the ship, right? So maybe not. Maybe the Barbarian's not good for this ship. So we'll have to see. It's not my first pick, but if there's an opportunity for me to try it, maybe I'll try it out, just for fun. Next ship on the list here on the B class is going to be the Assault Cruiser B. And I have beaten Torment-11 with this ship, so I've definitely had success with it. And now the ship has no immediate boarding, but does come with two war cultist psychers, which have soul spears. So that's damage you can do, for an enemy ship without missing. That's pretty powerful. And the weaponry it just has 1 fuselage, but you can get that expanded. I think that's Weapon Bay 2. And it also comes with an auto surgeon, which I like this system a lot for boarding. So the thing about the ship, you have to solve the problem of how to get your boarding going. And so that means using a commander that has a translocation or ability to translocate already, like the Doomweaver or the Exile. And I don't remember. I have to go back. I don't think I recorded my Torment-7 game. I think when I won that game, I managed to get the Hate Matrix. It's either Hate Matrix or Seeker Missiles. One of the 2 modules I got, and that's what helped me kind of finally win the game. But I'll probably try this out again. It won't be a first pick, but it's definitely a ship I'll be using just because we've already got some Psychers that are ready to go. And I don't know if they have extra slots or not. These are Greater Warriors. They may even have. I think these have extra Psyker slots, so you can also fill up some extra Psychomancy. That'd be good. And let's see, what's the next ship on B? The Heavy Frigate B. Okay, this is more of an advanced ship, and that's because it has no shield system. So if you're going to use this ship, you have to be prepared for the fact that you're going to rely on this barrier relay. It is effective. I did beat the game on Torment 3, but I don't know if it was on my first attempt. It doesn't show you your losses here, just your victories. And now you can buy a shield system. I eventually did. I think I put it right here in the middle, and then I had a Psyker with Force Shield. These are micro shields. It also comes with micro shields and hull integrity patches, which is good because if you take a lot of damage, this will heal 10 hull points and repair drones. So you have some crew with tool slots. So this will also help you with the fact you don't have a direct shield system. This should help get you through the first 2 sectors okay on the hard torments. And also, this comes with 3 weapons, 2 bolt cannons, and a energy beam. One of the best weapons of the game, because a beam weapon automatically hits if shields are down, and it recharges very quick in 11 seconds. So powerful weapon, so you can definitely take down shield 2, but you'll need to solve the problem of how to take down shield 3 once you get past get outside the second sector. It comes with a Cyberfused for repair, and that you need that, of course, and a whole bunch of husks. So, and you will have to get more crew. I mean, the husk will survive as long as you don't get bombarded too heavily, but good ship. I'll probably be playing this, but definitely want to get a shield system for the ship as soon as you can. Okay, the next B ship will be the Explorator B. Now, this is supposed to be one of the best ships in the game, and part of that reason, a couple of reasons. One, it's got an excellent border. Crew member here, the Assault Cyborg. Assault Cyborg has a translocator, and also when it's in an enemy room, system room, it'll reduce 1 power from that system. So that means if they have a shield like shield 3, it could reduce it down to shield 2. And then further, you have an Ion Lance. And if your Ion Lance hits, then you'll really take down, you might be able to take down the entire shield system, in which case your Storm Cannon 2 can hit with 3 shots. So you have some very powerful boarding and assault capabilities with the ship. It also comes with heat shielding. Now this is important because one downside of the ship, you see it has no door system. And you may want to consider buying a door system. It's not that expensive. Because I remember when I first played the ship, I didn't really understand that. I didn't know how to open the doors. What you do if you have a fire, you got to walk into the room with the door and then you can open it. But that is kind of a hassle. You got to run away from your system to do that. It also comes with these Flux Priests. These Flux Priests allow you to provide extra power to your systems without purchasing it, the reactor blocks. But there's also a downside in that if, let's say this room catches on fire and he's got to run out of the room, well, now the power goes away. So that means you have an evasion bonus that goes to 0, and one of your shields could also go down in power if you're using this to power your shield. So I know some of the better players than me recommend they take their Flux Priest and put them all in the engine room, because they don't really care if they lose engine power. It's not that big of a deal to them, and have somebody else man the shield room. And with the fire risk, now you do have the heat shielding that protection against fire, but you may want to consider getting a door system. They're not that expensive. And I don't remember, I think I did try this ship on Torment-10. I managed to get my commander killed in the 6th sector. Now, I don't remember if it's Torment-10 or Torment-9 that happened. And then another one of my playthroughs, I think I got to the Necropolis barge on maybe Torment-10 and I lost. I just wasn't prepared to fight him. I don't know if it was this ship. I don't recall for sure. But anyway, it's supposed to be the best ship in the game. I'll definitely be trying it out. I like the Assault Cyborg, very powerful. And the commanders you can use with this would be anybody who can translocate, the Exile Witch, Exile, Doomweaver, Cyberfused, and I've read that you can also use the Witch and the Paladin. Maybe because the Witch can cast a spell to stun the enemy crew, maybe that's because that'll help the Cyborg, and then the Paladin, because the Paladin can cast his spell, which gives him like a purity and immunity. That may help him out as well. I just haven't had experience using it, but something to consider. Let's go to the next ship on the list here that's supposed to be good, and we could talk about the Overseer B. Now, I don't think I've played this ship. You see, I have or maybe if I have played it, I haven't won a game with it, so I don't really have a lot of experience with this ship. I noticed it does have a Thrall Pit and Elder Blood Mage. This Elder Blood Mage has Blood Spear, and that's going to be your way to do consistent damage to the enemy ship, because those Blood Spears will not miss. And if you have a Thrall Pit, you can fire off one of those. Your Blood Spear will recharge every 3 seconds. Now the Thrall Pit, I think at level 1, only sends out a Thrall every 10 seconds. So you'll need to upgrade that to get the Thrall going a little bit quicker. And let's see. Yeah, he has Blood Spear, and the Blood Witch also can summon a Thrall. And you don't have any. You don't have a weapons room. You do have a siege missile, which is excellent. It does take 20 seconds to fire. So I guess the gimmick to this room is to use your Blood Spear, but you may want to consider getting, I think, a weapon system and maybe a Hull Reaper or some other systems to do damage to the enemy ship. And note, there is no way to board the ship from here. I think you can summon a Thrall, right? You summon a Thrall, they'll help you get chests, but you may want to send people over to do that. And so the commanders are probably, the Exile and the Doomweaver are probably the best commanders for this ship. And I haven't had any experience, I can't say much about it. I'll probably be trying it out, because I do like the Elder Blood Mage. Excellent crew member with the Thrall Pit. Okay, what's next on the list here? I think the Ancient... Oh, yes, the Ancient B. Yeah, the Ancient B. I did win the game on Torment-9 with this ship and the Doomweaver. So I'm pretty familiar. That was like with just a few weeks ago, so I'm pretty familiar with this ship. And it also has a Kinetic Lance. Excellent Excellent lance to use, and we've got a bolt cannon and a graviton cannon. A couple of mixed weapons here, but still that's pretty damaging. It also comes with demolish rounds. These were excellent in the boss fight because that means you don't have to worry about the enemy store system. So if you're going to board the ship, you can. It made the boss fight a lot easier because we didn't have to worry about getting through the doors. I didn't have a direct way to board the ship. Also comes with the Warseer, has Psychic Shriek. That would stun enemy crew. I think the gimmick to this ship is you're supposed to, because the Connect Lance can create hull breaches, multiple breaches. The bolt can also do a hull breach, and this will slow down the crew. I think the trick here is you want to create hull breaches with these guns, and then demolish rounds blast open the doors to suck out the oxygen. And then your Doom FG will send skeletons. He sends skeletons automatically to the enemy ship, and then your Warseer can stun them. So the idea is to, and then your Hex Priest here has a Technovirus. And he can use that to prevent the enemy system from being repaired. So if you leak the air out of the, like for example, the enemy shield room, and then he sends his Technovirus into that shield room, then they're not going to be able to repair those shields, right? And it'll be pointless, and the air is going to be sucked out of that room. So that's kind of the gimmick of this ship in the first couple of sectors. And I'll have to go back and look at my video. I don't remember what I did to win the game on Torment-9. It did take me a couple of attempts. I didn't do that on the first attempt, but it is doable. But I think I fought the Starflayer. You also have a graviton field. That's also, see, if you start putting a lot of hull breaches in their ship, and you slow them down with the graviton field, they can't get away, and they start suffocating. At least all that works on ships that are not possessed, though. So if you're going to deal with possessed ships, now you got another problem. You have to have another way to deal with that. But anyway, excellent ship. Okay, going back to the list. So the last B-class ship here is the Light Destroyer Lantern of Vast, which came out in a patch a few months back. And now I have no experience playing this ship. I didn't unlock it, but it does have a assault sled, and it has, for weapons, it's got a Storm Cannon 1 and a Inferno Fugazi, which apparently creates fire. So no hull damage, but it takes 20 seconds, and it spread is 60. I've never used this weapon, I can remember. So I don't know, I really have it. I guess you want to take down shields and then put fire on the enemy ship. Comes with a Husk and a Centurion, quite the opposing strengths and weaknesses in crew members here. And so I guess you could board with your Centurion, and he's immune to fire, create a fire, board with him, and he's not going to be bothered by the fire, right? So he can fight in the fire. It'd be great to have an Imperial Marshal. They buff the Imperial Marshal to do double damage in fire. So if you can get an Imperial Marshal, that'd also be a good pairing for the ship and the fire weapon. And you also have a Bioregenerator, which consumables restore 10 hit points to all friendly crew board. Okay, crew members. Okay, that's interesting. And you also have some consumables to use. You have 2 Medrones. Okay, that's good. So that gives you some healing from your boarding in the first sector. Though you don't really need it for this guy. I mean, he's pretty tough, right? 120 hit points. Maybe you need it for your commander or your Husk. You've got Shatter Reagents. These are these are enchanted swords. So that would help you with boarding or defense. You've got 2 fusion charges, which typically I don't use fusion charges till the end of the game, but maybe on Torment-12 maybe need them sooner, like if you're going to deal with major threats. I don't like the fact that shield room is in 2-tile room. That could be a little bit of a weakness, because if you're boarded, or if you need it repaired quickly, you can only put 2 people in there, so you may want to get engineers for this ship. And everything is a little spread out, so that's something to keep in mind. This is kind of a long ship, and you may want some more crews so you can get to the critical systems quickly if you have to repair them. So, other than that, I'll be excited to try the ship. It's considered to be a top-notch ship, and looking forward to this one. And so that completes all the ships on the B class, or the B hull section, and now I'll move to the C hull section. So Imperial Cruiser C, I'll just unlock it right now. I have the resonance. Where will it let me? Oh, I can purchase right there. Duh. Okay, so I've got the resonance. I've got had over almost 80,000 resonance to burn. So now I've got Imperial Cruiser C, and it comes with Dark Matter Prisms. Oh, it comes with the Thrice Cursed Requilary. So this is how you get onto the enemy ship. This acts like a little translocator and does 15 hit points of damage, and it's like a heavy translocator, because you can board with a whole room full of people or crew members. So that's a good thing. You have 2 crew members. You have Imperial Sorcerer, who had cast Fireball. Great, finally got one of these guys. These are the guys I'm running these guys all the time when I'm playing against the Imperials, right? And then we have a Marshal who's been buffed. It says he does double damage in rooms on fire. So that'd be great. He casts with fire, and then there's no way to board here. Oh, you could give him a Dark Matter Prism, because he has a tool slot, and then he boards into the fire. He does double damage. That's excellent. So that's a great way. You've got a pretty good setup for boarding. It'd be nice if your commander, though, Also has some immunity to fire. I don't think any of the commanders have immunity to fire, so there is a fire immune suit of armor in the game, but I don't know how you go about getting that. There's also a weapon called the Hellblade, +3 Hellblade, where if you get a kill with it, it makes you and your crew around you immune to fire for 30 seconds. So if you can get that weapon, that'd be perfect pairing for this ship. It doesn't come up that often. And again, we got the shield room and the 2-tile room. Not crazy about that. It also has a, I guess, a graviton field here, which I guess if you set the rooms on fire, they're gonna have a hard time escaping from it or putting it out. So fire, and you also have a retributor too. This also has a chance of creating fire if you get shields down. So you get shields down with a magnetic pulse, which stuns the crew, and then set them on fire. And then I guess if you can get more fire weapons, that'd be great. And then your commander casts a fireball while they're slowed down. So it looks like using fire is the theme of this ship, and I can't wait to try that out. It should be interesting. So I hardly ever use the graviton field, but I can see the wisdom of trying to slow down the crew when everything's on fire. And plus, since your crew is fire resistant, that'd be awesome. So should be a great ship to use, and the crew you would use for this could be, let's see. Yeah, you have the Dark Matter Prism, so it'd be any commander that has a tool slot that would he could use these prisms as they can. Now, keep in mind, you don't get a Dark Matter Prism every battle. Okay, it comes out every so often, but not all the time. So I think you'd still want to find some more consistent way to board the enemy ship. I mean, commanders that can translocate like Doomweaver and Exile are still would still be great for the ship. But I also read you could use the Mutant, the Paladin, Priestess, Archmage, Cyberneck, and the Campbell, and then maybe even the Capitalist. The Capitalist is kind of like the Cybernetic, just a different version of it. So he'd also be good for the ship. So a lot of different commanders work with this ship, and something to think about. And let's go to the next C-class ship here. Let me see. See what's next on my list here. We've got the Assault Sea. Now, I'm not really crazy about this ship. I did use it a couple times. I did beat Torment-6 with the Exile with it, and I don't remember how many times it took, but it wasn't, I think it was more than one. It was, the toughest part about this ship is there's no crew. Now, all your critical systems are close to each other. That's a good thing, but still, the fact you don't have a crew, it does make it tough for that first few sectors. Now, you do have a Magnetic Pulse 1, which gives 2 shots, or excuse me, it's one shot with 2 projectiles. And you have a Thunder Cannon, which also does 2 shots. So that means you could, I guess, technically take down maybe Shield 3. And this would do 2 hull damage, small chance of fire and hull breaches. And you have the Hyperlink Neural Socket. That gives you 50% move speed to the commander. So I guess that's helpful for the commander to move around and repair things. But I didn't find it that useful. This is only useful for me, like in the boss fight, or if you're going to do a major threat, it might be useful there. But that's not really a great benefit for me. And plus the ship, now the only one of the more valuable features this ship has is a shield charger. So shield charger is good, but for me it's not really that effective until you get like shield 2, which is going to cost like about 100 scrap. I think about 100 scrap to get upgraded to. Not that much though, but on Torment-11 and 12 it could take a while to collect that amount of scrap. So this is not a first pick for me. I mean, it's a solid ship, but because of the lack of boarding, lack of crew, I don't really give myself good odds of surviving that often in the first couple of sectors. And I guess any crew member who can translocate or get off the ship is appropriate, but you're going to have to get crew for this ship. And it's going to take a while since you don't have any scrap at the start. So, something to consider. Let's check on the next list of ship here. Okay, Heavy Frigate C. This is supposed to be a top tier ship. And I did recently beat Torment-6 with it and use the Doomweaver. And I had a tough time for some reason. It took me about, I think, 4 attempts to beat the game with this ship. And just in Torment-6, I mean, granted, it's a skill issue, of course, but now it does come with the lance and a fuselage. Now it has the Seraphic Resonator. That's probably the strongest point of this ship, is that if you have a lance, then once you fire it, this gun will be ready to go. And this gun normally takes 16 seconds, and it has its 3 projectiles. Now, I think when I finally was able to make progress in the game, I think in the second sector, I may have found another lance. I had 2 lances, and so that made my firepower extremely powerful, or extremely, just extremely devastating to the enemy ships, because I'd fire a lance, and this was ready to go, and then I had a second lance ready to go to fire. And then, so I was getting, within a short period, like within 12 seconds, I could get 12 to I guess, turning on the recharge time of the other lance, 12 to 13 seconds. I think it was an ion lance I had, which is not that takes 25 seconds for charge. But I guess in about, let me see, 1, 2. So I was able to get like 9, I guess 12 shots off on the enemy within the first 12 seconds, which is really powerful. That's a lot of firepower delivered on the enemy ship. Now, one thing that this ship also has to help take down shields is Siege Bombard. Now, I'm not used to using Siege Bombard. I've hardly ever used that in my playstyle, and this ship starts with it, and that does take up a valuable slot. I had to make a choice later between, well, do I want to get a missile bay or an assault sled so I can board the ship? And I don't remember, that was also a problem for me trying to solve that problem as I was going through the sectors 3 and 4, and some of it also contributed to me having my game end early. Not a skill issue, wasn't a skill issue, don't say that. But it wasn't really that enjoyable to play that ship. It really started to work once I got that other lance. So I may try the ship out. Maybe I'll try with Exile, because another limiting problem I had was trying to board the enemy ship. I just could do it multiple times with the Doomweaver. So this may be a ship. If I do try the ship again, it'll be with the Exile for sure. Maybe I'll have better luck. Maybe I'll understand how to use the Siege Bombard a little bit better. It also comes with a Corsair who was buffed recently to DPS 4, pretty good for a starting crew member, and then Aberrant who has a Psychic Shriek, so you can stun the enemy with this. That also helps with boarding. But okay, let's check the next ship. Okay, the Explorator C is also a recommended Explorator type ship, and the trick to this ship is crew killing. It comes with Carnage optics, which your weapons do 15 crew damage while your sensors are active, and then it comes with a Radiant Blaster. Very deadly weapon. I've lost crew members to this. It fires 2 shots that do 30 damage each. You can also, that means 2 shots to break shields. You have an Ion Tunneler. This is also good to break shields, so you could, for example, break shields with the Ion Tunneler, and then the Ion damage will also do crew damage, thanks to Carnage optics. And the Radiant Blaster hits the crew, and then you finally have an Energy Beam, which is pretty powerful. And this also will do, in addition to the hull damage, it will do crew damage thanks to Carnage optics. And this ship is really devastating if you get Hull Reaper, because the Hull Reaper also takes advantage of Carnage optics, and it comes with a couple of engineers. You got Cyber Priest, and he can cast a Positron Barrier to help protect your system, and then a regular engineer. So that means you got some resilience on your ship. There's no way to board the ship, so again, this is a ship that you'd want to use the Exile, Cyberfused, or Doomweaver with. But solid ship. Yeah, here it looks like I used Exile with the ship before, so I'll probably use Exile or Doomweaver. Great weapon combination, but at some point you'll need to think about how to take down Hull, right? How, like the possessed ships, they don't have much crew, so this kind of gimmick of using the Radiant Blaster kind of wears off at some point. Though I think when I got to the final battle, I think I had 2 Radiant Blasters and an Energy Beam and some other weapon. That's all I could get. I couldn't get anything else. I think I may have gotten rid of the Tunneler, and that's because I wanted to be able to take down the shield with the Radiant Blasters, and then I'd use the Hull Reaper, this Energy Beam, and the Siege Beam I'd eventually purchase to take down the boss ship. So anyway, great ship, and looking forward to using this one. And then the next ship that's under consideration is the Ancient Sea, and I have no experience with this ship. I just unlocked it. And this came out, I can't remember which patch this came out with. Now, what's good about the ship for a number of commanders is that there's no assault sled, but this Imperial Proselyte unusually has a Chaos Rift spell. So this is kind of like on the ship the Relic A. Relic A, there's a Death Cult Psyker who has the Chaos Rift, and he's got one too. So that means if you want to do boarding, he just, you put 4 people in a room, he sends the rift, and then off you go, somewhere on the enemy ship. And then you have a Deceiver who has a Treasonous Whispers. Ooh, I like that. I like the spell. So you could, for example, cast this on the throne room to get the throne, get the evasion down, and then you can use your Magnetic Pulse here to take down shields. Then you have an Energy Beam too that does, let's see, does not affect shields. Okay. It's a pretty long beam, 110, so you can do a lot of damage with this Energy Beam too. And then you have Spectral Drives, and this allows you to use evasion to dodge enemy spells. So this gives you some psychic projectile resistance, which is pretty good, and your engines start at 2, so I guess that's maybe a 15, or with your commander, I guess you have evasion of 20. So now you get the ability to dodge some spells. That's helpful, but you do have to put funds into engines. Typically, my playstyle, I don't put a lot of money into engines. In fact, I understand some of the players better than me start to build up their shields in Torment-11 and 12. I'm not used to getting to shield 3, but I may have to start doing that. So I don't really know how effective this module would be, or if I even keep it, but time will tell. Now, what I don't like about the ship, well, the ship has a husk rack also, which I think the other ship that has is an Interdictor B with a husk rack. So, one option to think about is to get one of those assault sleds, and to get maybe upgrade it, get a bunch of husks, turn them into those shock husk, and then load them onto the ship and send them to the enemy ship. I don't know how long that takes. It may take too long for other things to work, but that's one option. Now, I don't like the shield room being way back here. You may need to get another crew member to help protect the shield room, like maybe another engineer or another soldier character to help out. Another problem is life support. Life support here is in a one-tile room. That is typically not a good thing, because I've had cases where life support went out and it was over for me. I could not fix in time and my crew suffocated, especially the Barbarian. Barbarian would be really susceptible to your life support being out, and once you start losing enough oxygen. So this could be a problem, and I think it's recommended to get more crew on this ship just so you have the ability to protect these systems. But I've never played this ship. That's just my first impression just looking at it, but can't wait to try it out. It's supposed to be a good ship. And the commanders for this, or you have a number of commanders thanks to the Chaos Rift. You can use the Mutant, Cannibal, I guess the Barbarian would be okay, Paladin, Priestess, Capitalist, Archmage, yeah, pretty much any commander you want, you could use the ship. And if you like the Roughneck, go ahead and use him, or who cares. So should be an interesting ship to play. Looking forward to try it out. And then I guess the last ship is the Light Destroyer C, which I have not played either, and we'll go ahead and purchase it. Now we've got this ship, and this also came out not too long ago, maybe in the summertime. And it's supposed to, I guess the theme of this ship is that it's not fully constructed. It says intended to be an up-armored development of a new breed of warship, hastily fitted with provisional weaponry and operated by erstwhile shipyard workers. Oh, that explains the guy in the suit here. Prematurely launched to escape the imminent arrival of an Imperial purgation fleet. Interesting. So, and this ship has some interesting crew members. It has a deep core veteran. So this is a pretty unique character. I don't think you can find this one in the store, and he's got 10 more health than the usual. What do you call them? The Roughnecks? No, not the Roughnecks. The veteran, the core veteran, or whatever. He's got 10 more health, and he's got a DPS of 5. So that's pretty powerful for a crew member unit like that. And he's got the suffocation immunity, so he'd be great on a possessed ship. Then you have a Gene Soldier. This is the exact opposite. He has suffocation weakness 250%. So it's kind of funny. I guess you could send him on the possessed ships, and he would go on the non-possessed ships. But he's got 70 health, 5 DPS. Just can't use him on the ships in no auction. Now you also have a module here, the mirrored fire control. The first time your ship fires a non-beam weapon, that weapon shot count double. That doesn't seem like a big deal. However, including that, you have a rift bomb, and this rift bomb does 2 hull damage per shot. And so if you fire this mirrored fire control, you'll do 4 damage. So you got a chance to do 4 damage in that first shot and create subspace breaches. So that's where your deep core miner comes into play too. If you create subspace breaches and he boards, the enemy's going to be at a big disadvantage. You have a graviton cran to slow down the enemy, and you have a heat beam. Now it doesn't do hull damage, but creates fire. Now, that's also a contradiction between creating subspace breaches and fire, because fire doesn't work in rooms with subspace breaches. So I guess you'd want to use the beam weapon in the rooms you didn't hit with your rift bomb. Maybe that's the point of this. It does have an assault sled, and it has a 2-tile weapon room or weapon bay. So hopefully that doesn't limit your number of weapons you can have. I'm not really sure. Again, I've never played this ship before. And you do have a little bit of a distance to get to this side of the ship. Apparently this doesn't go through. You see over here, so the only way to get to this side of the ship is over here on the port side of the ship, if this is the port, to get to your door system and your shield system. So unusual layout here of the ship. So again, you probably want to get some more crew to help protect the systems here. But otherwise, it's supposed to be a pretty good ship, and since you have a way to board using the assault set, you can use a wide variety of commanders. And of course, you got the Roughneck. The Roughneck commander may come and play here. He may be recommended. If you can use the Cyberneck on the ship, you can also use the Capitalist, new Capitalist ship. So, and so I think that's the end of the list of the ships I'm going to be using here. So to go through again, we have the Relic Freighter A, we have the Assault Cruiser A, we have the Overseer A, we have the Ancient A, we have Oblivion Cruiser A, and Light Destroyer A. So that's quite a few ships here that are open for me to use. And then for the variant B, Interdictor B, not my first choice, but I'm willing to try it out. I had success before with it. Assault Cruiser B, also decent, has no boarding, but good ship to have. Heavy Frigate B, unusual ship, no shields, but shield system, you're in pretty good shape. Explorator B, supposedly one of the best ships in the game, statistically, I guess, to use to beat the game on the harder tournaments. Overseer B, which I've had no experience with. Ancient B, I've beaten the game on Torment-9, and Imperial Cruiser B, I beat the game on Torment-10 already with it. Light Destroyer B, I have no experience with it, but it's supposed to be a top tier ship. And then we have the Imperial Cruiser C, it's got Dark Matter Prisms for boarding. Assault Cruiser C, not my first pick because, again, you have no crew on the ship, but it's supposed to be a really good ship. We'll have to see if I try it. Whoops, we'll go back to the list, sorry. Okay, go to the list. Heavy Frigate C, it's got the ability to charge one of your weapons when you fire your lance. The Explorator C, supposed to be a great ship for crew killing. Ancient C, which I've had no experience with. And then the Light Destroyer C. And no word on if I'm still trying to get through Torment-11 and 12. Don't know if the new ship is going to be released. This is the Oblivion C. Have no information about it, but we'll definitely provide an update if it does turn out to be a ship that's viable for the higher level tournaments. So anyway, that's the end of the list. And please like, subscribe, stay tuned to this channel, and you will see me post results of what happens as I try to make my way through Torments 11 and 12. Take care. Okay, one more section I wanted to add is since I put together this video and had not yet published it, the developers have put out another few updates and added a brand new commander called the Heiress. I'm looking at her entry here on the Void War Wiki, and this commander is considered to be a S-tier top commander that doesn't have innate boarding, at least by the players who are much better than me. And you see this Heiress has 105 health, which is really good for a Psyker commander, and she has one free Psychomancy slot in additional armor and weapon, and then she also has a innate ability called Hypnosis. It's basically an enhanced version of a Treasonous Whispers. It's a mind control spell that lasts for about 20 seconds. I'm not able to show you in game because I've got another game that's currently in process. She also has a DPS of 5, so she's pretty much has the same attack ability as some of the basic knight characters, at least like the Centurion. Pretty decent health, and she also gains 5 hit points on a kill. So against smaller opponents, she's going to be pretty devastating when boarding on an enemy ship. Not to mention she has this innate ability. And so if you're having, my point is, if you're having trouble with getting through a particular tournament level, like cracking Torment 6, and you like Psychers, then this would be an excellent commander to have. I mean, and she kind of falls on the same strength level, I guess, as the other Psychers, like the Priestess and the Witch, though I would say that this Treasonous Whispers is, and her health makes her a stronger commander than the Witch, and probably a stronger commander than the Priestess. So out of the Psyker commanders, and I think it's also stronger than the was it the Archmage, because Archmage doesn't have any, he has 2 Psyker slots but no spells, and she has 1 spell right off the bat, so that makes her really strong at the start of the game. And one ship you may want to consider pairing her with would be the Apocalypso or the Ancient Sea. The reason that I mentioned using the Ancient Sea as one option is that you have another Blood Cultist here, so I know it's a little blurry. This is also from the Void War Wiki, called the Deceiver. And the Deceiver character, and this is their entry in the Void War Wiki, also has a Treasonous Whisper spell. So my point is, if you get this particular commander, the Heiress, and pair them with the Deceiver, you'll have 2 Treasonous Whisper spells right off the gate. Now, Treasonous Whispers is not necessarily the best spell in all cases. I mean, granted, it will get the enemy crew to start fighting each other, but keep in mind that the Heiress' Treasonous Whispers, or her ability of Hypnosis, lasts longer, lasts 20 seconds. That's as long as that enemy crew stays alive, whoever you've controlled, that's 20 seconds that the enemy ship will still be able to fight you, and you won't be able to necessarily crew kill the enemy ship, especially if your boarding party is really strong. So you may want to use that Hypnosis spell very sparingly and just judge the situation. If you have, for example, an enemy ship like in Sector 6 filled with a whole bunch of Centurions, and you don't have a way to easily take down shields and destroy the ship, you may just want to carefully consider using that, because you won't be able to attack that that mind-controlled Centurion for 20 seconds, right? And he'll be around for 20 seconds at least. Hopefully he's taking some damage from his fellow crewmen, but you just have to keep that in mind, that it may delay you with the ability to crew kill a ship if you're using it. But however, throughout the rest of the battle, it's going to be, or rest of the game, it's going to be a pretty powerful spell to have. And I'll probably do a playthrough at some point. Right now I'm in the middle of another playthrough, but I'll go ahead and try this out. I'm curious to see just how broken it would be to have 2 Treasonous Whispers right at the start of the game. The only thing I don't like about this ship is the husk rack. I'm not really a fan of a husk rack. I mean, it's kind of a novelty. It's good defensively, but it does take up an important system slot that you can use in preparing for the final boss battle. You know, for systems I like to purchase in game, I like to get 4 systems if I can. It would be the Missile Bay, the Shield Charger, Siege Beam, and the Hull Reaper, of course. And I don't really know which one of those I would have to do without. There was one game I played recently I was able to do without the which one was it? The Missile Bay, but I had the Siege Bombard in its place. It was the Heavy Frigate C, which had Siege Bombard at the start. So not having one of those 4 systems would be a challenge and make the game a little bit tougher at the end, but I'd have to hope that maybe the money I would save on crew on the boarding strength or crew strength with the Treasonous Whispers, maybe I could spend that on other things like getting the weapons upgrade or getting better missiles like a strong missile template like Claymore or Siege. But anyway, just food for thought. So I do recommend this commander, and in terms of the content I just shared with you, I'm guessing that this commander would be used on any ship where she doesn't have a way to board, right? So any ship where you prefer to use a Psyker commander, and it also already has some type of boarding available. And note when I talk about Ancient Sea, this also has, even though there's no assault sled here, this Imperial proselyte crew member, he's got a Chaotic Rift. I know it's unusual for him to have a Chaos spell, but he has a Chaotic Rift. So that's kind of like on the Relic A ship. That's a way you'd be able to get on the ship is with the Chaotic Rift. So like let's say you had your commanders here. Let's say you had the Heiress, then your Heiress could run in here with another crew member perhaps, and then he would just cast the Chaos Rift right on her on the throne and then send her over to the enemy ship, right? So that's the way she'd be able to board the ship, and you could do that with other ships that have the unusual ways to get boarding going without an launch bay assault sled. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this review, and please watch out for my future videos. I will have put playthroughs up, hopefully successful in Torment-11 and Torment-12. Take care.